There's Mango. Her favorite place, his favorite place to sleep is in my chair. And there's the best furnace ever, which I'm going to have more to say about soon. I hope, well, you may remember it. And there are the segments of the radiator that I saved. It's kind of not lit very well back here, but they're clean now. But what I'm filming now though is my brewery. There it is, the time, not quite noon. I usually move my cows across to the other pasture about 12:30, so I got a little time, and I thought, why don't I just brew early? Here's my brewery. That's basically all this is. Let me see what I can tell you about it. The big jar is full of malt for making dark beer. The little jar is full of malt for making Pilsner beer. And I'm about to drink the last of the Pilsner. I'll show you. This is various stages of brewing of the dark beer. I've been using Kvike, a yeast which is Norwegian. The Pilsner I brewed with Voss. That's a kind of Kvike. The dark beer I'm brewing with Lutra, and I haven't tried it yet. I may try it today, maybe on this video. And that is the oldest that I've got. What I did was I mixed 2 days brewing together, and this is like, I don't know, 4 days ago, and that's maybe 2 days ago. I'm brewing 2 each of those days. You can sort of tell how old they are by how much trub is at the bottom. That's what that white is. Dead yeast, maybe. And what's at the top is called Krausen. It also tells you something about the age of it, because eventually the Krausen drops. If it's, I think, what they call clean yeast, it tends to drop and down to the trub. Here's the tubs I use. My source of water is that hose, cold water, nothing but cold water. Now here's the last of my Pilsner, and it has a taste. I want to say somewhere, a guy online, the video I was watching, described the kind of beer I brew, and you know, when it's raw, not boiled, and not everything sanitized, as tasting like unsweetened lemonade. And I think that's pretty darn accurate for the Pilsner, and I like it. We'll see how I like the dark beer. Now over here are jugs waiting. Those 3 are they're sort of that's leftover Pilsner that I just, instead of throwing it out, I put into a single jug. That's leftover beer from brewer's malt, or I mean brewer's ale, which again I just didn't throw it away. I let it and see how long it goes, and that I think is leftover from when I brewed with bread yeast. I think, and again I just saved it, so they're just saved out of kind of curiosity. So there's my, oh, and you know, these are jars, gallon, I think they're gallon jars. I could fill them all with beer. Just think, they'd make thermal mass. What's your thermal mass? Ale. I keep using the word beer when I mean ale. I probably will. If I run out of those plastic jugs, I'll turn to them, but I gotta get lids for them, or I'd like to get lids for them. Okay, I'm gonna go about brewing. I don't know if I'll take you through the process yet or not, but there, you've seen my brewery. A wooden spoon is necessary. A funnel is necessary. Oh, and I didn't tell you about these. There I'm keeping yeast from brew to brew. This is Pilsner. That's brewer's yeast. This is the first that's left over. Actually, no, that's the first that's left over from the Lutra, and this is from bread yeast, I think. I may not even keep it, but I'll let it build up. And what I do with the ale that sits in the middle between the Trub and the Krausen is I pour it back into the general mix of that ale. I don't waste it. I don't throw it out. And here's what I'm done with then. This is pretty much pure yeast, and I'll keep it probably in the refrigerator when I move on to the next yeast. And the next yeast I'm going to use is going to be what they call Nova Lager. I'm going to try it because it's highly spoken of. But I've got plenty of malt still to use, dry malt extract to use with the Voss. I'm sorry, with the Lutra before I move on. There's my last glass of Pilsner brewed with Voss, V-O-S yeast. I left a little bit in the jug, and what I'm going to do with that, just because there might be some Trub in there still, I'll pour that into the rest of the leftovers from other evenings of drinking, and I'll let it age more and see what happens to it. Now, this is what I said. There actually is a little bit more floating on it than maybe should be, but I don't mind. It tastes like unsweetened lemonade. Oh, I might as well show you this process little by little. I'm going to get 3 cups, half cups of that traditional dark malt, and put it in here, and then stir it up with water till it dissolves with that wooden spoon. That takes a lot of stirring because I do this cold water. There, I've stirred that up. So what you're looking at is wort, W-O-R-T, wort. And that's not Krausen on top, because that's not the product of yeast. That's just kind of air from stirring it. And I have a little bit less than a half gallon there, purposely. I'm leaving the spoon in there because if I put it down somewhere, it's going to make that spot sticky. And I've been waiting not very long for the yeast to come to room temperature. This piece of soapstone up here, which is something that in the old days they carried in a carriage to keep your bottom warm out in the cold. You know, it would soak up heat as thermal mass. And there, I'm just putting it there briefly. It's about warm enough already. I got this Lutra yeast as a slurry. I like it a little better dry because it's easier to handle, but that's fine. All right, I'm going to pitch it now and stir it again, and then pour it into the fermenter. I didn't even rinse this out because I'm about to brew a second half-gallon batch, and there it is. That's in the fermenter. Now I'll top it up because I can tell when it would be a half-gallon. So I'll top it up with water a little bit before I'm done. Now I'm going to go back and do the second half-gallon. Same thing over. Okay, the second half-gallon of wort. Now I haven't topped them up. They're not quite a half-gallon. I'll do that in just a minute. And then I'll just let them sit to ferment. They're in their fermenters. But I'll turn to something else though that's related. All right, what's left to do is I'll rinse my equipment out. I only use water. I haven't used soap or sanitizer at all. The yeast, I got to get that in better order because it's not quite in chronological order going from right to left. I'll fix that up. There's 4 days, 2 days, or 2 half-gallon batches together. There's 2 half-gallon batches together, so there'll be a gallon apiece. I've decanted them off. And decanting leaves behind Trub and Krausen, some of it, not all of it. But the fermenting keeps going on. But you can see down there's no Trub. Tomorrow I'll do the same to those 2. This is what I just brewed now and topped them up. And this is what I decanted off of the 2 that went into this one. And I'm going to put it over there along with I got to come up with the name of it, the brew of the month that I'll keep adding to with the same yeast though so far. Well, there's one thing left to do in this video, and that is taste this next kind of beer. The gallon container on the right with the green cap, I took a glass out of it. It's the oldest ale that I have at the moment of this kind, and there's a glass that I poured out of it. It's Lutra is the yeast, and the malt is simply called traditional dark. So I'm going to taste it. I'll keep the camera going. See what I can't film myself very well with my right hand, but I also have a cat crawling on me now. But I'm trying to do this. The cat makes it a little bit more complicated. But anyway, here we go. He's gonna sit down. See if you can see that. Yeah. Now that's interesting. It's not nearly as sour as the other. As a matter of fact, it's hardly sour at all. It has quite a different taste. I like it better. Enough said for now.